Yo, not your average Joe, and here are my top 5 tips to cut weight when you're backpacking that nobody thinks of. Let's go. So, quick bit of background. I've been hiking and camping for about 20 years, generally embodying the fast and light approach from day one without really knowing it. For example, doing half dome in skate shoes with no food. Great achievement for my 13-year-old self, but that just adds to my growing list of monumental mistakes before and since then, really. But it's given me a fair bit of experience and knowledge on the subject. So, top 5 ways to cut weight. Let's go. Number 1. Take a water filter. It will indirectly become the single biggest weight saving you'll make over all but the smallest of hikes. Sawyer, Catston, MSR, they're the big 3. Any filter from these guys would be a great way to keep yourself fast and light by not having to take extra water. Carry less, drink more, go further. Water's something everyone thinks of, sure, but streamlining your water carrying is something to really consider. I once carried 10 kilos of ice for 15 miles, convinced that once we got to camp, it'd be nice to have some fresh cold water, but never again. I have one of these. Having said that, you're obviously going to need a water source, which leads nicely into tip number 2. Check the terrain. Get yourself one of these, get yourself familiar with what it all means. One of these, not one of these. These OS maps will show you in great detail the terrain, any paths, any fields, everything you need to know where water is in here. Buy one, learn to use it. If you know where the water sources are, again, you can carry less, you can drink more, be more comfortable, and then go further. Also, and this is where I was going with the terrain, make sure you know the terrain where you'll be bedding down. Make sure you have the right gear and only the right gear. So things to consider: if you're catching on a rocky peak, a bivvy setup is going to be lighter and much easier to pitch than a tent. Likewise, use a hammock in the woods. If you're doing one night hammocking in the woods and then a night on a peak, is a big long pole for your tarp pitch on the rocky peak needed, or can you just take a sling and a nut or 2 instead? You can use climbing gear for your hammock as well, but that's a whole other subject. If you're fair weather camping with guaranteed loveliness, would it be worth scrapping the tent and just chucking in a little midge-proof head net? Midge-proof head net. You want to figure out what's the best sleeping arrangement for your trip that minimises what you're carrying, covers all the terrain, and suits the weather conditions. All points to consider together, not independently. But storming in at number 3, cautiously and skeptically check that weather forecast and pack accordingly. Don't take extra layers if you won't need them. Consider if you need to take a big thick winter sleeping bag if you're already wearing big thick winter clothes. But conversely, look at whether packing an extra layer of night clothes together with a summer sleeping bag would be a better fit for you. It definitely is for me. I run very hot. Recently, I've been using a blanket. And a blanket and a thin summer sleeping bag if it's really hot. Hot? Cold. It's really cold. This in particular, this is a... As I was saying, Kelty Bestie, 700 grams, also really good if you got a little furry friend with you. What was all that barking about, eh? What was all that barking about, little pom-pom face? Hey? Is that a lovely boy? Is that a good boy? Anyway, number 4. Find meals that you like that just need water adding or are easy to clean up. Emphasis on meals that you like, but avoid bulky, low volume foods. Nobody likes cleaning up dirty pots, so just avoid it. That's my advice. This isn't necessarily weight saving. For some of you, the next bit might actually be weight gaining, but gaining density in the food you're carrying is a good thing, in my opinion. It lets you pack more efficiently. Consider what food you're packing too. Dense, high calorie, high carb options would be my choice, ideally dehydrated. Rice and pasta are my go-to too. Rice and pasta are my go-to too. Rice and pasta are my go-tos. And finally, number 5. Bulk up. If you're at the start of your trip, try and get as much fuel and water in you as possible. carry it inside of you instead of in your bag. And I don't mean eat everything in your bag right away. I mean eat what you can before you go, so you don't have to carry as much in your bag. Similarly with water, if you pass a water source, indulge in some liquids and refill. If you're passing through a town, like one of those with a pub, you know exactly what to do. So there you go, my top 5 tips to save weight when backpacking that nobody thinks about. Did you like this video? People said I should share my knowledge a little bit more, so here we go. Do you do these things? Will you now? Got any others to suggest? Comments below, subs for loves, all that jazz. See you next time.